Oh man, they got scientist Mott's. I'm Mr. Jones. I'm his manager. We now have a help wanted sign on the wall because Mott's is gone. We don't know where he is. He did find some traits before he left in his journal. A trait is a distinguishing characteristic that belongs to an organism. To accomplish this zombie trait, we should use a Punnett square. You'll notice on this Punnett square there are two main things to look at. The first one is that there is a dominant trait. A dominant is represented by a capital letter, E in this case, because the capital E is actually for big ears. We also have recessive traits. Recessive is represented by a lowercase, and the lowercase represents pointy ears in this case. The recessive likes to hide behind the dominant trait. Now, we have two other things. The first one we have is homozygous. Homozygous means that they are the same. They can be homozygous dominant, or they can be homozygous recessive. Now, if it's homozygous recessive, then the recessive trait will show. That is the only time that the recessive trait would show. Another difference is we have something called a heterozygous. Heterozygous means that there's one dominant and one recessive trait. Heterozygous is interesting because you would think it would be a mix, but actually you only see the dominant trait. You do not see the recessive trait at all. All right, so we made a new discovery. The zombies, let's look at this one. She has a short kind of cricket nose right here compared to the other zombie that has a longer nose. Now, one thing that we noticed is we made a Punnett square. Our Punnett square, I'll pop it up right here, would have the dominant trait of the nose right there and a recessive trait on the side. Let's both have them as homozygous dominant and homozygous recessive. Now, you would think that all their kids would have mixed noses, but that's not the case. When we put these together and we fill it in, you'll actually see that all of them have heterozygous. Now, these zombies would all have this type of nose because the dominant trait would overpower the recessive trait. Now, that's part 1 of our video. We're going to have part 2 coming up. But what I want you to do in the meantime, we have some other pictures of zombies that we want you to figure out what would their offspring or their children look like. What are their chances with the different types of traits?